Okay, well, that's your choice. You're not gonna, that's your choice.
I'm not gonna worry.
I don't.
And please make sure that you are representing Lake Central and helping to build a brand.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. So I want to thank you guys so much. This is one of my new favorite activities. This is only the second time we have ever had an African American read-in at Glade Central High School. And just to give you a little bit of background, this is an activity sponsored through the National Council of Teachers of English, NCTE. And it's something that we did for the very first time last year, and I just loved. And the whole goal is to introduce and celebrate famous, and even maybe not so famous, writings, speeches, poetry, could be plays, could even be things from movies, lyrics from songs, anything written by an African American. And so some of you have graciously agreed to read for us today, and I do have a list. If we go through the list and I miss anybody, please tell me, and I will make sure you get a chance. We are open for lunches, so you may notice that some students leave after a lunch or some students come in, okay, or whatever. Just go with the flow on that. We're also expecting after a lunch Miss Cunningham's class to come, so you guys will be together for about 20 minutes before you go to lunch, and then her class will stay. So without any further ado, I would like us to jump into the reading. When you come up, you can take the microphone. You can either just hold it here or you can put it around your neck. Okay, you don't need to hold it up to your mouth because it won't sound correct. So I will lay the microphone here. Okay, when you read, if you're reading off of a paper, if you're reading off of your phone, whatever you want is totally fine. But remember, the cameras are here, and so there will be some students throughout the day who see this from Park Vista High School. So, I don't see Hema. I don't see Janicia. I had some students who signed up. Let's see who's next. Giselle, are you ready? Yeah, I know. We can do somebody else first. We're on camera, just so you know. So I will let you guys get ready. Giselle and Bertina, and I'll do somebody from this class first, okay? All right. Raekwon Walker, where are you? Raekwon. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Raekwon is going to be reading from a speech, and this speech is by Marcus Garvey, and it's an excerpt from A Separate Black Nation. So please give Raekwon a hand as he comes up. Go ahead.
Delegates to the 4th International Convention of the Negro Peoples of the World, ladies and gentlemen. The pleasure of addressing you at this hour is great. You have reassembled yourselves in New York, coming from all parts of the world to this annual convention, because you believe that by unity you can alleviate the unfortunate condition in which racially we find ourselves. We are glad to meet as Negroes now, withstanding the stigma that is placed upon us by a soulless and conscienceless world because of our backwardness. As usual, I am not here to flatter you. I'm not here to tell you how happy and prosperous we are as a people, because that is all false. The Negro is not happy, but to the contrary, is extremely miserable. He is miserable because the world is closing fast around him. And if he does not strike out now for his own preservation, it is only a question of a few more decades when he will be completely outdone in a world of strenuous competition for a place among the fittest of God's creations. The Negro is dying now, and he is going to die faster and more rapidly in the next 50 years than he has in the past 300 years. There was only one thing to save the Negro, and that is an immediate realization of his own responsibility. Unfortunately, we are the most artless and indifferent people in the world. We are shiftless and irresponsible, and that is why we find ourselves the wars of an inherited materialism that has lost its soul in this country. It is strange to hear a Negro leader speak in this strain as the usual course of flattery, but I would not flatter you to save my own life and that of my own family. There is no value in flattery. Flattery of the Negro for another quarter of a century will mean hell and damnation to the race. How can any Negro leader flatter us about progress and the rest of it when the world is preparing more than ever to bury the entire race? I must flatter you when England, France, Italy, Belgium, and Spain are all concentrated on robbing every square inch of African territory, the land of our fathers. Must I flatter you when the cry is being loudly raised for white American, Canadian, Australia, and Europe, and the yellow and brown Asia? Must I flatter you when I find all other peoples preparing themselves for the struggle to survive? You still smiling, eating, dancing, drinking, and sleeping away your time as if yesterday were the beginning of the new age of pleasure. I would rather be dead than be a member of your race without thought of tomorrow. For it portends evil to him that thinketh not, because I cannot flatter you. I am here to tell empathetically that if we do not seriously reorganize ourselves as a people and face the world with the program of African nationalism, our days in civilization are numbered, and it will be only a question of time when the Negro will be as completely and complacently dead as the North American Indian or the Australian Bushman.
Thank you, Raekwon. Great job.
Good job, Big Pat.
Okay, so we are very, very grateful to Ms. Henderson for bringing her African American history class to participate with us today. But we also have other students who volunteered as well who only have a lunch. So we're gonna get some of them in here. Hema, you are first on the list. Ladies and gentlemen, Hema Cervantes will be reading If We Must Die by Claude McKay. Give her a hand.
Claude McKay, an African-American poet, born to the name of Festus Claudius McKay, took an important role in the Harlem Renaissance, a distinguished literary movement in the 1920s, when writings ranged from a peasant life in Jamaica to poems challenging white authority in America. If We Must Die by Claude McKay. If we must die, let it not be like hogs, hunted and penned in an inglorious spot, while round us bark and nag and hungry dogs, making their mock at our accursed lot. If we must die, oh let us nobly die, so that our precious blood may not be shed in vain. Then even the monsters we defy shall be constrained to honor us though dead. O kinsmen, we must meet the common foe. Though far outnumbered, let us show us brave. And for their 1,000 blows, deal one death blow. What thought before us lies in the open grave. Like men, we'll face the murderous coward back. Pressed to the wall, dying but fighting back. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Hema. And now we have another volunteer, the wonderful and amazing Andres. Come on up, sweetheart. And Andres will be reading for you an excerpt from Up From the Muck by Effie Greer. Can any of you raise your hand and tell me who Effie Greer is? That lady right there. Yes, we do have a photo of her. But what is her significance to Glade Central and to the Belle Glade community? Say that again?
She was a former principal.
Former principal, very well known in our community, very well loved. Our stadium is named after her. And she wrote this book, Up From the Muck, to talk about people who had come from Belle Glade and who had done really amazing and cool things with their lives. And so Andres is going to read to you about artist Donald Neal.
Donald Neal, artist. The story of the life of Donald Neal is a journey which should inspire any child. I began to follow the progress of this young artist when he was a student at Lakeshore Senior High School. My story began when I helped arrange a field trip for the art students in Mr. Leroy Williams' class to go to the Norton Art Gallery located in West Palm Beach, Florida. As the students disembarked from the bus to enter the gallery, Donald was fascinated by the sculpted version of Centaur, which was located in the area outside of the building. Instead of entering into the building with the rest of the class, Donald Neal stood in front of the sculpture Centaur and remained there until other class members returned to the area to board the bus for the ride back to Belgrade. Once Donald returned to the Lakeshore campus, he asked Mr. Williams for some clay. Equipped it with the clay and a sharp-pointed instrument used for designing in the art classroom, Donald proceeded to mold the image of Centaur, which he had studied so intently while standing in front of the Norton Art Gallery. His miniature semblance of the larger sculptured Centaur he studied. It was remarkable. Everyone marveled at the likeness that he sculpted from memory, an unusual talent for one young person. That's amazing.
Thank you so much. You know, one thing that I think Miss Henderson has talked to you guys about is the fact that African American history doesn't necessarily mean something that happened in 1920 or 1875 or even 1960. Matter of fact, there are people that are creating history all around you in the African American community. Last year, one of the people that came to Glade Central, Jason Reynolds, okay, a very well-known author now. He has won a ton of prizes for his books, for his literature. He is a part of African American history, and he is living and walking amongst you today. So you have a responsibility of what you're going to contribute to that. If you're from the African American community, what are people going to be saying about you in 5 years, in 10 years? Just something to think about. So are we ready, Giselle? Okay. So Giselle Rodriguez is going to come share with us now. And Giselle will be reading an excerpt from I Have a Dream. And I know, Courtney, you're going to do an excerpt as well. Not that it's a competition or anything. Okay, but we'll see if you guys picked similar excerpts. Okay, let's give a hand for Giselle.
So, as we know, Martin Luther King Jr. was an African-American Baptist minister and activist who became the most visible spokesperson and leader in the civil rights movement from 1954 through 1968. He is best known for his role in the advancement of civil rights using the tactics of nonviolence and civil disobedience based on his Christian beliefs. And now I'll be reading an excerpt from I Have a Dream. I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. 50 years ago, a great American, in whose symbolic shadow we stand today, signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree is a great beacon of light to hope for millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro is still not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still badly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still languished in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land. So we've come here today to dramatize a shameful condition. In a sense, we've come to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note in which every American was to fall. This note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of honoring the sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check, a check which has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity of this nation. So we've come to cash this check, a check that will give us, upon demand, the riches of freedom and the security of justice.
Thank you. Leave the microphone there. Okay, I would like to ask Ms. Henderson to come up. She would like to read for us a poem by Langston Hughes titled The Negro Mother. She's pretty awesome. Yes, but you are a pretty awesome teacher.
The Negro Mother by Langston Hughes. Children, I come back today to tell you a story of the long, dark way that I had to climb, that I had to know, in order that the race might live and grow. Look at my face, dark as the night, yet shining like the sun with love's true light. I am the dark girl who crossed the Red Sea, carrying in my body the seed of the free. I am the woman who worked in the field, bringing the cotton and the corn to yield. I am the one who labored as a slave, beaten and mistreated for the work that I gave. Children sold away from me. My husband sold too. No safety, no love, no respect was I due. 300 years in the deepest South, but God put a song and a prayer in my mouth. God put a dream like steel in my soul. Now through my children, I'm reaching the goal. Now through my children, young and free, I realize the blessings deep to me. I couldn't read then. I couldn't write. I had nothing back there in the night. Sometimes the valley was filled with tears, but I kept trudging on through the lonely years. Sometimes the road was hard, but I kept on trucking along. I had to keep on, no stopping for me. I was the seed of the coming free. I nourished the dream that nothing could smother. Deep in my breast, the Negro mother. I had only hope then, but now through you, dark ones of today, my dreams must come true. All you dark children in the world out there, remember my sweat, my pain, my despair. Remember my years heavy with sorrow, and make of those years a torch for tomorrow. Make of my past a road to the light. Out of the darkness, the ignorance, the night. Lift high my banner out of the dust. Stand like free men, supporting my trust. Believe in the right let none push you back. Remember the whip and the slaver's track. Remember how the strong in struggle and strife still bar you the way and deny you life. But march ever forward, breaking down bars. Look ever upward at the sun and the stars. Oh, my dark children, may my dreams and my prayers impel you forever up the great stairs. For I will be with you till no white brother dares keep down the children of the Negro mother. Thank you.
All right, can read out that again?
Don't forget the microphone. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Henderson. Okay, I don't think I have any other, oh, Bertina is my A-lunch reader. Am I making you late for class? No. Okay, come on up, Bertina. Bertina is going to read an excerpt from Sula, which is a novel by Toni Morrison. All of you guys coming in, welcome, welcome. Have a seat, join us.
Before Toni Morrison won the Nobel Prize, the Pulitzer Prize, or the prize of having your book made into a movie starring Oprah, she was an employee at Random House with one novel, The Bluest Eye, under her belt. That's when she wrote Sula, a novel that would bolster her reputation as a phenomenal talent in the world of American letters. It was nominated for the National Book Award, and the world began to be aware of the force of nature that is Toni Morrison. The novel tells the story of a friendship between two Black women, Nell and the titular Sola. Their friendship starts out intense as children. They're joined at the hip and love spending each and every minute with each other. But as they grow from children to teens to adult women, a series of events: the death of a young boy, Sula's habit of sleeping with married men, Nell's adherence to societal norms, a debilitating illness threatens to destroy their friendship for good. Now I'll read an excerpt from Sula. Then summer came, a summer lent with the weight of blossom things, heavy sunflowers sweeping over fences, iris curling and browning at the edges far away from their purple hearts, ears of corn letting their auburn hair wind down to their stalks, and the boys, the beautiful, beautiful boys who dotted the landscape like jewels, split the air with their shouts in the field and thickened the river with their shining wet backs. Even their footsteps left the snow smoke behind. It was in the summer of their 12th year, the summer of the beautiful Black boys, that they became skittish, frightened, and bold, all at the same time. In that mercury mood in July, Sula and Nell wandered about the bottom barefoot looking for mischief. They decided to go down by the river where the boys sometimes swam. Nell waited on the porch of 7 Carpenters Road while Sula ran into the house to go to the toilet. On the way up to the stairs, she passed the kitchen where Hannah sat with 2 friends, Patsy and Valentine. The 2 women were fanning themselves and watching Hannah put down some dough, all talking casually about one thing and another, and had gotten around. When Sula passed by to the province of child rearing, a pain. Yeah, I wish I listened to Mama. She told me not to have him too soon. Any time at all is too soon for me. Oh, I don't know. My rooting mind says, Daddy, he's just wild with me. Be glad when he growled and gone. Hannah smiled and said, shut your mouth. You love the ground. Pee on. Sure, I do. But he's still a pain. Can't help loving your own child, no matter what they do. Well, Hester grown now, and I can't say love is exactly what I feel. Sure you do. You love her, like I love Sula. I just don't like her. That's the difference. Guess so. Liking them is another thing. Sure, they different people, you know. She only heard Hannah's words, and the pronouncement sent her flying up the stairs. In bewilderment, she stood at the window, fingering the current edge, aware of a sting in her eye. Nell's paw floated up into the window, pulling her away from the dark thoughts back into the bright, hot daylight. That was
Okay, thank you so much, Bertina. Now, I believe I have a few students from A Lunch and that are from Miss Hall's class. Is Takesia here? Okay. Are you reading by yourself or with Anibria? Okay, all right. So Takesia and Anibria. Did I say your name correctly? Okay. I knew I didn't. Fix it for me. Anibria. So Takesia and Anibria, who are both in Miss Hall's 5th period class. And what are you guys reading for us today? What if I am a black woman? And that is written by who? We're going to find out while they're reading, and then we'll share that with you. So you guys are going to co-read, right? Perfect. So you just might want to kind of hold this between you. Let me turn it up. Sorry, our handheld is not working anymore.
I'm reading a poem called What If I'm a Black Woman? What if I'm a black woman? Is it a disease? Well, if it is, I sure hope it's catchy, because they need to pour into a bottle, label it, and sprinkle it all over the people. Men and women, whoever loved or cried, worked or died for any one of us. So what if I'm a black woman? Is it a crime? Arrest me, because I'm strong, I'm gentle, I'm smart, but I'm learning. I'm loving, but I'm hateful. And I love to work because I like to feed and clothe me and mine, and everybody, like I've been doing for the past 300 years. What if I'm a black woman? Is it insane? Commit me, because I want happiness, not tears, truth, not lies, pleasure, not pain, sunshine, not rain, a man, not a child. What if I'm a black woman? Is it a sin?
Pray for me and pray for you too. If you don't like women of color because we are midnight black, chestnut brown, honey bronze, chocolate covered, cocoa dew, big lipped, big breasted, and beautiful, all at the same time. So what if I am a black woman? Does it bother you that much because I want a man who wants me, loves me, trusts me, and respects me, and gives me everything because I give him everything back plus? What if I am a black woman? I've got rights, same as you. I have worked for them, died for them, played and laid for them on every plantation from Alabama to Boston and back. What if I am a black woman? I love me and I want you to love me too. But I am as I've always been, near to you, close to you, beside you. Strong, giving, and loving. For over 300 years, your black woman loved me.
Nicely done, ladies. That may be by an anonymous writer. I'm not sure. I didn't find the answer right away. So do a little research and let us know. Okay? I believe there may have been another student, Jasmine Jenkins. Will you come up, Jasmine? Oh, Jasmine has 2 poems. Okay. So Jasmine, I know you are reading poems by Nikki Giovanni, correct? Okay. And I just heard who? Okay, Nikki Giovanni is an amazing poet, and I have some of her books here in the library if you want to check them out.
What's the name? The first poem I am reading.
Speak up, Jasmine.
The first poem I am reading is called A Poem of Friendship. We are not lovers because of the love we make, but the love we have. We are not friends because of the laughs we spend, but the tears we save. I do not want to be near you for the thoughts we share, but the words we never have to speak. I will never miss you because of what we do, but what we are together. That's the first.
All right, give her a hand. That was the conclusion of the first one.
The second poem is called Legacy. Her grandmother called her from the playground. Yes, ma'am. I want you to learn how to make rolls, said the old woman proudly. But the little girl didn't want to learn how because she knew even if she couldn't say it, that would mean when the old one died, she would be less dependent on her spirit. So she said, I don't want to know how to make no rolls, with her lips poked out.
And the old woman wiping her hands on her apron saying, Lord, these children. And neither of them ever said what they meant. And I guess nobody ever does.
Great job. Okay, so if I don't have anybody else from A-Lunch or Ms. Hall's class, I'd like to go back to Ms. Henderson's students. Was there anybody I missed from Ms. Hall's class? Okay. All right. So now we're going to go back to students from Ms. Henderson's class. And if the amazing and wonderful Mr. Courtney Ware will join us. And Courtney is going to be reading an excerpt from I Have a Dream by Martin Luther King. You want to sit or stand?
I read a speech. You hear?
Yep.
I read a speech from Martin Luther King. I have a dream. I say to you today, my friends. So even though we face the difficulties of today's and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It's a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of the creed. We hold these truths as self-evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day in the red hills of Georgia, the sons of the former slaves and the slaves of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of our neighborhood. Of brotherhood. Yes, sir. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state swollen with the heat of injustice, swollen with the heat of oppression, will be transformed to oases of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with the racism, with the government having the lips dropping with the words of interposition and notification, one day, right there in Alabama, little black kids, little black girls will be able to join hands with the little white boys and little white girls, and sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day the valley shall be shut, and every hill and mountain shall be made low, and rough places will be made plain, and crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and the flesh shall be seen together. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the south with. With the faith, we will be able to high out of the mountains of dispersion of stone and hope. With the faith, we will be able to transfer and juggling discourse of our nation into beautiful centers of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to do work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be able to be free one day. This will be the day where all God's children will be able to sing with the new meaning. My country, sweet land of liberty, of there I sing. Land where my father died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom rings. And if America is to be great nation, there must be true, become true. So let freedom rings from the hilltops of New Hampton. Let freedom ring for the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom rings from the high mountains of Pennsylvania.
You got this.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Sorry, y'all. Let freedom rings for the snow-capped rocks of Colorado. Let freedom rings for the slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom rings for the stone mountains of Georgia. Let freedom rings for the Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom rings for every hill and mile hill in Mississippi. For every mountainside, let freedom rings. And when this happens, we will allow freedom to ring. When we let it ring from every village and every helmet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up the day with all God's children, black men, white men, Jewish men, Catholic men. We'll be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, thank God Almighty, we free at last. And I'm sorry earlier for studying now, boy, but
You did a great
You
job.
did a great job. Thank you, Courtney. Okay. And we want to welcome those that are watching us on YouTube Live. We actually do have some. I actually just had somebody send me a text. Mr. Nab and Miss Hevey were listening to you guys read. So if you guys are still listening, hello.
listen now.
Okay, now we have another group read. This is going to be the very famous poem by Maya Angelou, Phenomenal Woman, and it's going to be read by Miss Henderson, Shansiria Allen, Janiyah Stewart, and Tykees Butts. Come on up.
Oh, man, Henderson, get on up there.
Phenomenal Woman by Maya Angelou. Pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. But when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say it's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride in my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me.
I walk into the room just as cool as you please, and to a man, the fellows stand and fall down on their knees. Then they swarm around me, a hive of honeybees. I say, it's the fire in my eyes, the flash of my teeth, the swing of my waist, and the joy in my feet. I'm a woman, phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me.
Man themselves have wondered what they see in me. They try so much, but they can't touch my inner mystery. When I try to show them that they still can't see, I say it's the arch of my back, the sun of my smile, the ride of my breast, and the grace of my style. I am a woman, phenomenally phenomenal woman. That's me.
Now you understand just why my head is not bowed. I don't shout or jump about, or have to walk, or have to talk real loud. When you see me passing, I ought to make you proud. I say, it's the click of my heels, the bend of my hair, the palm of my hand, the need of my care, because I'm a woman, phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me.
Thank you so much, ladies and Ms. Henderson. You guys, maybe you do know, maybe you don't know, but in case you don't, let me tell you how special it is when you have teachers like Ms. Henderson who will take the time to make sure that you are well-rounded and that you are learning more than just what is in a textbook. And I hope you guys appreciate her the way that I do. Give her a hand for being so awesome. Okay, moving on. Is Kenley here? Kenley's not here? Oh, I was looking forward to that too. Okay. Antion Bradley. And again, another Maya Angelou poem. This time, Still I Rise.
Still I rise, Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may try me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you deceived with the gloom? Because I walk like I got all wells pumping in my living room. Just like moon and like suns, with the sea of tides, just like hope springing high, still I rise. And you want to see me broken, bowed head and lower eyes, with shoulders falling down, like teardrops weeping with my soulful cries. Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, because I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your heartbeats, but still like air, I rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the husk of history shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in my past, in my pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, willing and swilling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wonderfully clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream, the hope of a slave. I rise, I rise, I rise.
And I know some of you had lunch. Bear with us, please, if you're watching us live, as we just had a lunch bell ring. So give us just a moment to read that over. Those of you here at Glade Central, there is a choir from Park Vista High School that wants to share with us. So if you do not have a class to go to, prepare to be an audience for that. If you would like to hear the choir sing from Park Vista, we are preparing to be an audience for that. And if you're watching live, just bear with us for 1 moment.
Yeah, I think they had their lunch bell. So,
All right, for those of you who are still with us, we are going to watch Park Vista sing. I'm just going to switch this around so you can see them on the big screen.
how do I? Oh.
Hello, Park Vista.
Hello.
Okay, Park Vista, we are going to turn our audio on so that my student can hear you, and then you will be ready to go.
All right, thank you.
African American youth. So we have a hymn today, we have a gospel piece, we also have a spiritual. So that is basically the breadth of the African American literature and music. So we have a hymn today, we have a gospel piece, we also have a spiritual. So that is basically the breadth
With every voice I sing till the heavens ring with the Lord. With every voice I sing till every voice sing, God of the waves, every song that you sing a song full of the faith that the darkness has taught. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought. We sing the rising sun of our new day. Let us march on till victory is ours. Our wearies, Lord of our silent tears, the poor has lost for all. Now to us by let us sing to keep us forever in the path we pray. The storm keeps straight from the places of God where we met thee. Rest our hearts drunk with the wine of the world before gathering. Shouting our glory forever stand. True to our God, true to our native land.
Wow. Okay, can you hear us, Park Vista? Oh, they're singing?
Is coming from glory to give me his time of soul. You are the source of my strength.
So for those of you who are just joining us, I need to remind you, first of all, that we are live on YouTube. And you were just listening to Park Vista High School's choir. And they're going to share one more piece.
All right.
If you're in here, you're an audience member.
You guys are so awesome. You're so thank you guys.
We just want to thank Park Vista High School, your amazing librarian, your beautiful choir, and your wonderful choir director again. My kids, give a hand. Okay. So we have additional readers today. If you are here to read today for the African American Read-In, can you put your hand up? Jasmine, you ready? Come on up, Jasmine. You're waiting for your what? Your what? Okay, your partner. Okay. Hold on one moment then. Bear with us if you are listening via YouTube as we reorganize following the choir performance. Okay, I think we're good now. So we are now going to jump into the second half of our African American reading. We have had students from Glade Central that have read. We have had a choir from Park Vista share with us. For those of you that just came in, we are broadcasting live on YouTube. And we are now going to pick it up from here and go back into the reading portion of our presentation. So if the amazing and wonderful Hannah Cervantes would come up, she has a poem to share with us. Give her a hand.
Won't You Celebrate With Me by Lucille Clifton, 1936 through 2010. Won't you celebrate with me what I have shaped into? A kind of life I had no model, born in Babylon, both non-whites and women. What did I seek to be accepted myself? I made it up here on this bridge between starshine and clay. My one hand holding tight, my other hand. Come celebrate with me that every day something has tried to kill me and has failed. Thank you.
All right, and now we have a threefer. We have Jose, Steve, and Anaya. Give them a big hand. Make sure you tell us what you're reading. Read nice and loud or hold up the microphone, okay?
Well, today I'll be reading Ain't I a Woman by Sojourners Truth. It was delivered in May 28, 1851. Well, children, where there is so much racket, there must be something out of kilter. I think that the twits, the niggers of the South and the women of the North, all talking about rights. The white man will be in a fix pretty soon. But what all this here talking about? That man over there said that woman needs to be helped with 2 carriages and lift beautiful ditches, and to have the best place anywhere. Nobody ever helped me into carriages over mud puddles or give me any best place anywhere. And I, a woman, look at me. Look at my arms. I could have lounged and planted and gathered into barns, and no man could heed me. And I, a woman, I could work as much and eat as much as a man when I could get it, and bear the lashes as well. And I, a woman, I have born 13 children and seen them most all sold off to slavery. And when I cried out, my mother grieved. None but Jesus heard me. And I, a woman. Then they talk about this thing in the head. What do they call it? Intellect. That's it, honey. But they've got to do what woman's right or niggas right. If my cup couldn't hold a pink, but your heart could hold a quart, won't you be mean not to let me have my little half full measure? Then that little man in the black there said he said woman can't have as much right as a man because Christ was in a woman. Where did your Christ come from? Where did your Christ come from? From God and a woman. Man had nothing to do with him. If the first woman God ever made was strong enough to turn the world upside down all alone, these women together out to be able to turn it back and get it right side up again. And now there is asking to do it, and the man better let them.
Right.
Okay, I'll be reading Any Human to Another by Clancy Cullen. The ills I sorrow at, not me alone, like an arrow, pierced to the marrow, through the fat and past the bone. Your grief and mine must intertwine, like sea and river, be fused and mingled. The verse yet single, forever and forever. Let no man be so proud and confident to think he is allowed a little tent, pitched in the middle of sun and shadow, all his little own. Joy may be shy, unique, friendly to a few. Sorrow never scorned to speak to any who, where false or true. Your very grief, like a blade, shining and unsheathed, must strike me down. Of bitter aloes wreath, my sorrow must be laid on your head like a crown.
I will be reading the speech that was delivered by Obama when he was still a senator when he was campaigning. At this time, he was responding to a spike in attention paid to controversial remarks made by the Reverend Jeremiah Wright, his former pastor, and until shortly before the speech, a participant in his campaign. Obama framed his response in terms of a broader issue of race in the United States. I am the son of a black man from Kenya, a white woman from Kansas. I was raised with the help of a white grandmother who survived the Depression to serve in Patton's army during World War II, and a white grandmother who worked on a bomber assembly line at Fort Leavenworth. While he was overseas, I've gone to some of the best schools in America and lived in one of the world's poorest nations. I am married to a black woman who carries within her the blood of slaves and slave owners. An inheritance we pass on to our two precious daughters. I have brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, uncles, and cousins of every race and every hue, scattered across 3 continents, and for as long as I live, I will never forget that no other country on earth is my story even possible. It's a story that hasn't made me the most conventional of candidates, but it is a story that has seared into my genetic makeup. The idea that this nation is more than the sum of its parts, that out of many, we are truly one. Throughout the first year of my campaign, against all predictions to the contrary, we saw how hungry the American people were for this message of unity. Despite the temptation to view my candidacy through a purely racial lens, we won commanding victories in states with some of the widest populations in the country. In South Carolina, where the Confederate flag still flies, we built a powerful coalition of African Americans and white Americans. This is not to say that race has not been an issue in this campaigning. At various stages in the campaign, some commentators have deemed me either too black or not black enough. We saw racial tensions bubble to the surface during the week before the South Carolina primary. The press has soared even every single exit poll for the latest evidence of racial polarization, not just in terms of white and black, but black and brown as well. And yet it has only been in the last couple of weeks that the discussion of race in this campaign has taken a particular divisive turn. On one end of the spectrum, we've heard the implication that my candidacy is somehow an exercise in affirmative action, that it's based solely on the desire of wide-eyed liberals to purchase racial reconciliation. On the other end, we've heard my former pastor, Jeremiah Wright, use incendiary language to express views that has the potential not only to widen the racial divide, but views that denigrate both the greatness and the goodness of our nation, and that rightly offend white and black alike. I have already condemned in unequal terms the statement of Reverend Wright that has caused such controversy, and in some cases pain. For some nagging question remained. Did I know him to be an occasional and fierce critic of American domestic and foreign policy? Of course. Did I ever hear him make remarks that could be considered controversial while I sat in the church? Yes. Did I strongly disagree with many of his political views? Absolutely. Just as I'm sure many of you have heard remarks from your pastors, priests, or rabbis with which you strongly disagree, but the remarks that had caused this recent firesome weren't simply controversial. They were simply a religious leader efforts to speak out against perceived injustice. Instead, they express a profoundly distorted view of this country, a view that sees white racism as endemic, and that elevates what is wrong with America above all that we know is right with America. A view that sees the conflict in the Middle East as rooted primarily in the actions of stalwart allies like Israel, instead of emanating from the perverse and hateful ideologies of radical Islam. As such, Reverend Wright comments were not only wrong, but decisive at a time we need unity. racially charged at a time when we need to come together to solve a set of monumental problems: 2 wars, a terrorist threat, a falling economy, a chronic health care crisis, and potentially devastating climate change. Problems that are neither black or white or Latino or Asian, but rather problems that confront us all.
Right. Well, we know we actually had more readers and ran out of time. So I really hope that anybody who didn't read today will join us next year. Even if you're an alumni, you can come back. And we want to thank Park Vista High School especially for having their choir sing, and anybody who watched online. Thank you very much. Have a great day, Raiders.